Okay, so these are the notes for 2.5 compound inequalities. Do them after the test, after the quest. So we have some things to note here. We have two kinds of compound inequalities. One is an and, one is an or. And sometimes it has the word and. If you see one like this, you split it into two parts. X is greater than -3 and x is less than 5. And the and ones are where the separate graphs overlap, and the or is where one of the graphs or either one of the graphs cover. And I'll show you some here in an example. So we're on page 11 of your notes if you didn't figure that out. So what you do here, no matter which it's and or, you start out by shading the graph. So I have 3 right there, open circle, arrow to the left, and I have a 7, open circle, arrow to the right. Since it's an or, our notes say both graphs. So I go over here and I put 3 and I put 7, and I shade everything that was on the original two graphs. And that's my answer. X is greater than -5, so I'm going to shade it. And x is greater than or equal to 6, so I put it on here. And the final graph is everything, so I do the -5, and the 6 is already part of that. I can put it on there if you want to, but it's where both graphs go. So we're talking about this whole area here. X is less than or equal to 9. Or x is greater than -1. So I'm shading everything. So on my 9, I'm shading all of this. And my -1, I'm shading all of that. So this would be all real numbers because this shades over this open hole. So most of the time it's going to look like this first one. The other two are special cases. If I'm doing and, I still follow the same thing, but first I have to split this up into x is greater than or equal to -4 and x is less than or equal to 1. So I'm going to take my -4, solid, going to the right, +1, solid, going to the left. So I want to look for the place where they overlap, which is right here in the middle. And that's my final graph. So I start at -4 and I go to +1. My answer is going to be the parts in between. It's hard to make a point on here, so you might have to just make your point there. So I shade both things. The answer is the overlap, this part in the middle where both graphs would be. So I have 0 and 8. So this time my 0 is going this way. My 8 is going this way as well. So the place where they overlap is right in here. So they overlap starting at 0. So your final answer would be just x is less than or equal to 0. Again, where do they both overlap? That's your final answer. X is greater than 4, x is less than -7. Open circle, arrow to the left. Open circle, arrow to the right. Again, the answer is where they overlap, so there is no solution here. They do not overlap. Pause it, fill it in if you need to. So it says, can we reverse the process? So they give us a graph. So can we write it as a compound inequality? So I'm going to put the x in the middle. And on this one, it's a filled in circle. So I'm less than or equal to 4, and I'm greater than or equal to -2. Notice the inequality signs are going the same direction. Over here, I have x is less than 8 and greater than 0. It's an and. Anytime it's between, it's going to be an and. This is also an and. So I put my x in the middle, less than -5, greater than or equal to -7. Notice again, signs are going the same direction. Also an and, x is less than or equal to 1, greater than -1. You can almost just put it right there and know where your symbols are going. So these are some words that are on your note sheet, just something that is important to note when we're looking at inequalities, and especially inequalities with word problems. All real numbers that are greater than -2 and less than 6. So there's an and there. Greater than or equal to -2. All real numbers that are less than 0 or greater than or equal to 5. So less than 0 or greater than or equal to 5. If you saw that on a graph, it would be 5 going that way and 0 going that way. All real numbers that are between -5 and 7. Between means I have a shaded overlap. So I put my x in between there. X is greater than or equal to -5. Sorry, just greater than. It's between, it's not equal to, and less than 7. The circumference of a women's basketball must be between these two values. Inclusive, that means we're including the numbers. So from 28.5 to 29. Okay, so those are some quick notes. We're going to talk about some more examples in class where you solve. Split them up and solve. That'll be a different item that we talk about.